Federal government to restructure SME loans as Naira slides forex demand hit $1.16 billion. Oil prices rise 1% on Saudi Aramco's upbeat demand view. Plus, how will the signed amended Companies and Allied Matters Law enhance the ease of doing business in Nigeria is the focus of Business Express today. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you live from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Benny Adams. The federal government says it is working with the Central Bank of Nigeria to help borrowers to restructure their loans as part of efforts to ease the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said this in a statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Office of the Vice President Laolu Akande, entitled FG will use part of 2.3 trillion naira ESP stimulus as buyer of last resort. He added that the priority of the federal government in response to the economic challenges posed by COVID-19 is essentially to ward off a deep recession and to save jobs. Oil prices climbed on Monday, supported by Saudi optimism on Asian demand. Details when we return.
Let me assure Nigerians that all COVID-19 intervention funds are safe in the Treasury single account, and that government is still open to donations in this regard. Government has opened special accounts with 5 commercial banks which are directly linked to the Treasury single account. Donated funds are safe in the Central Bank of Nigeria. For verifiable information about the funds and other financial obligations of the federal government, please contact us directly at the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning. The account details for the donations are as follows.
Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, says the economy is currently thriving largely on tax revenues generated by the service despite the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Executive Chairman of FIRS, Mohamed Nami, in a statement signed by FIRS Director, Communications and Liaison Department, Dr. Abdullahi Ahmad, says tax revenues account for about 500 billion naira or 70% of total revenue available for distribution to the tiers of government in July. He also adds that the renewed focus on stamp duty had started to yield dividends as revenues had improved from 18 billion naira to about 80 billion naira annually. With the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) adjusting foreign exchange rates in search of uniform framework, local demand has hit $1.16 billion on the back of outstanding obligations. Local manufacturers have also warned that many factories may shut down if obligations of over 1 year to foreign suppliers are not met. Data from manufacturers' union showed steady decline in backward integration activities since 2017 until second half of 2019 due to local pricing and availability of raw materials. Already the CBN few days ago altered the official exchange rate at which it sells the naira to the dollar on its website on 379 naira per dollar from 361 naira per dollar that the website had reflected since March 20 this year. U.S. dollar struggles to sustain rally eyes bond yields. Let's now see how the naira is exchanging for other international currencies. Oil prices climbed on Monday, supported by Saudi optimism on Asian demand and an Iraqi pledge to deepen supply cuts, although uncertainty over a deal to show up the U.S. economic recovery capped gains. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose 50 cents to $41.72 a barrel, while Brent crude futures were up 40 cents at $44.80 a barrel. Still on commodities, gold prices fell on Monday as the dollar held onto gains made after better than expected U.S. payrolls data, while investors kept a close eye on Sino-U.S. relations ahead of scheduled trade talks. Let's see prices. President Muhammadu Buhari has signed into law the Companies and Allied Matters Bill 2020. The bill replaces the extant Companies and Allied Matters Act 1990. Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, said the law will see the reduction of filing fee and other reforms to make it easier and cheaper for small and medium-sized enterprises to register and reform their businesses in Nigeria. Femi Adesina said the law will allow corporate promoters of companies to establish private companies with a single member or shareholder and creating limited liability partnerships and limited partnerships to give investors and business people alternative forms of carrying out their businesses in an efficient and flexible way. He added that it will also ensure innovating processes and procedures to ease the operations of companies, such as introducing statements of compliance, replacing authorized share capital with minimum share capital to replace cost of incorporating companies, and providing for electronic filing, electronic share transfers, e-meetings, as well as promote general meetings for private companies in response to the disruptions to close contact fiscal meetings due to COVID-19. To shed more light on the amended Companies and Allied Matters Act is an economist, Paul Alaje. Paul Alaje, if you're listening, you're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you so very much for having me. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon to you. Well, Mr. Paul, President Muhammadu Buhari on Friday signed into law the Companies and Allied Matters Bill 2020 to replace the extant Companies and Allied Matters Act 1990. What is your take on this? What does this portend for the business environment?
This is a thing of joy. This is what we have been hoping for. And I'm particularly happy that Mr. President has gone the needful which now makes it of doing business for Nigeria to improve. And I can predict that when the next report of the ease of doing business 2021 will be released, or 2022 as the case may be, Nigeria will certainly move on. Because that before now, before 2016-17, Nigeria on ease of doing business was over 160. But because of some reforms around business registration, among other recent reforms on this space of doing business, Nigeria moved up to around 130. Now that is now possible for people not to go through the processes of Corporate Affairs Commission or filing. It can now be done digitally. This is in compliance with what other countries in the world, progressive countries, have done, and Nigeria is joining. And if I can just specify to you, if I can just mention the specifics, it also supports small businesses that need to get 2 members, because registering a legal ability in Nigeria before was minimum of 2. That has been reduced to 1. This is in line with the global trend in countries such as Singapore, India, and the United Kingdom. As if that were not enough, there is introduction of limited ability partnership. There is recognition, and this is so very important. The world we live in today, there is now recognition of electronic signature, which means I don't need to be present in person to sign. My electronic signature is as valid as my own signature.
Wow.
It means people can be in Nigeria or elsewhere to register a business and be valid and be a Nigerian company in Nigeria. And I think this is progressive. This is what I've been expecting personally, and that of our organization that will be done. A lot of reforms.
Okay, Mr. Alaje, looking at...
I think we should support it. And I need to mention this.
Okay.
Even annual general meeting that must be critical, I think what COVID-19 is teaching us, that will now be done remotely and digitally. It has also been entrenched in this 2020 amendment, and I think it's a good one.
Okay. Having acknowledged the fact that it's a good one, and with the introduction of the e-platforms, making the ease of doing business much more easier than we have, I understand that with this law, it can take you about 3 days to start and finish a registration. Does that promote more smaller businesses getting to register and having more people getting into business?
Before now, even before the 3 days, which I doubt, before now, it took about 2 months, so that we appreciate why I personally support this amendment. It could take as high as 3 months to 4 months to register a business. And those of us who are in private sector, we know what we see. But after the reform, there is that miracle that just 3 months for 1 week, maximum 8 days, which is still approximately 1 week. But with this one, I can tell you, if you are ready, if you provide the necessary details, within 24 hours, at maximum 72 hours, you can have your certificate out. And there's also going to be electronic certification, which makes sense. I think it's the way to go. It's going to not just support large organizations, particularly small businesses that are confused as to whether they should register enterprise eligible ability company. And when it gets to bidding, some government agencies will say it must be limited ability company, and this person does not have a partner. He also does not, is not familiar with the rigorous process that we need to go through with Corporate Affairs Commission. But digitalizing of what we need, what is required now, makes it not just to be fast, it makes it to be efficient, and it also removes all form of corruption around it.
Okay, the Act provides a reduction in time as well as cost, which you've talked about the timeliness, but it also provides reduction in cost for setting up a company. Do you see this increasing registration of businesses, and by extension having more people to be taxed, thereby creating more like a better window for revenue generation for government?
If there are 2 things for me it has done, it will no doubt increase number of registration, and because failure rate of businesses around the world is high, it has been said that 4 out of 5 businesses die for some reasons, which is not the real conversation today. But we also have to delete non-functional companies that are just occupying register. Because CSA up till now does not have that power to expunge name of companies that are not filing as at Wednesday. But this regulation now gives CSA that power for organizations that are not functional to be known, and not those ones that are functional. So I think it's the way to go, and I think it's the right thing all stakeholders, government at all levels, National Assembly, and particularly executive have done, and also those who even work on this document as Corporate Affairs Commission.
We understand that model netting provisions as a means of mitigating credit risks have also been introduced. Can you tell us how that works?
One of the major challenges businesses have here in this part of the world is that they don't even know what their credit rating is, and to access credit becomes a lot challenging. Apart from that, if somebody wants to run business, let's say Mr. A wants to run the business and it takes him a month or so to register the business he wants to run, meanwhile, there is already access window to funding. So this is a time wasting. Again, if the business is on an electronic platform, it is easier for these agencies to access directly from CSC. The one banks will say they will pay money and they want to go and check and run search. All of those are no longer. By searching in the comfort of any bank, we can find out whether the company is registered with up to date or not. And I think it's going to reduce risk to a large extent, and also to measure the risk of doing business with a particular company. Everybody can search, everybody can know, and I think it's the right way to go again.
We have fewer compliance obligations for small companies, part of which is a little bit of freedom from the yearly audit process. Does that help create more capital for business owners?
Yes, it does. Money saved can actually be plowed back into business. And when small companies need to fire, a company that has not even covered most of its costs and is still required to perform some regulatory obligation, not just the Corporate Affairs Commission, maybe in the sectors where they're established, it becomes really very complicated and difficult for them to do. But when we start considering the uniqueness of micro and small businesses, even if you want to extend medium-scale businesses in this way, I think to a large extent, our Corporate Affairs Commission have looked at data that is available before now, based on the performances of several businesses, and have considered it worthy, which Mr. President has just signed, to say that these people should be exempted. We could now see that it is now that we're encouraging those small businesses to perform and improve in the coming period.
Okay, on the overall, can you paint us a picture of the possible impact on the economy this can cause moving on?
Now, this is a good beginning for me, because you cannot run business if you have not registered. It becomes illegal as it is. So the impact you are going to see a lot of more businesses getting registered within Nigeria, and those who have interest that are Nigerians that are outside Nigeria in diaspora, that are not necessarily at home, that the government will say you have to come sign and file. All those things are no longer there. So Nigerians who are well-to-do outside Nigeria, that are also coming back, they want to come back home, they want to start a business, and people they are trusted in Nigeria to supervise or to manage or hire people remotely, which is applicable in most parts of the world. Nigeria has not been playing in that league. Today, the signing of this bill into law, what it means is that Nigeria can now have more of the funds repatriated from other countries to our economy, and the economy can be more liquid and also boost and assist significant growth. This will also help foreign reserve. As more people bring in their money from outside Nigeria, it's going to have impact directly on foreign reserve, and it's also going to make Naira stronger. Now, the Corporate Affairs Commission may not be looking in that direction, because there are, of course, basic things in terms of solution that this will provide. But for me, I want to feel the impact on our foreign reserve, which I think certainly is a yes, and we'll see it's a matter of time. Within 24 to 48 months, we'll start seeing significant difference because of this policy we have adopted. And I think it's a good one that all Nigerians will embrace.
Wow, that's quite promising. More businesses, better standard of living for all Nigerians. Thank you very much, Paul Alaje, for sharing your thoughts with us. Many thanks.
Thank you so very much for having me.
You're welcome. Activities on the floor of the stock exchange sustained gains recorded last week to end the week on positive, with investors gaining 10.7 billion naira. Moplang Dakok has a review of last week's market performance.
A total of 1.065 billion shares worth 10.798 billion naira in 20,482 deals were traded by investors on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange in the week ended 7th August 2020. The NSE All Share Index and market capitalization both appreciated by 1.41% to close the week at 25,041.89. All other indices finished higher with the exception of the NSE Insurance Index, which depreciated by 0.28%, while the NSE SM Index closed flat. The financial services industry measured by volume led the activity chart with 677.3 million shares valued at 5.071 billion naira. The conglomerates industry followed with 153.3 million shares worth 580.2 million naira. The third place was the industrial goods industry. NIMET, USCN Property Development and Flour Mills were the top three price gainers for the week. A total of 118,062 units of exchange-traded products ETPs valued at 1.061 billion naira were traded in the week in 26 deals, as well as 56,530 units of federal government bonds valued at 58.6 million naira in 15 deals. 41 equities appreciated in price in the week. 18 equities depreciated in price, while 104 equities remained unchanged.
Moving on, and on the stock market, equities opened the week on negative trajectory after a week of gains last week. All share index dropped 0.06% to close at 25,027.61, while market capitalization dropping to 13.055 trillion naira. Livestock exchanged 175.3 million shares in 4,294 deals valued at 1.4 billion naira. FBNH, Unilever, and Guaranty Trust Bank were the toast of investors based on volume of shares recorded. Asia-Pacific markets traded mixed on Monday as investors remained cautious over heightened U.S.-China tensions in recent weeks. Here is a graphical illustration as compiled by Moplang Dakok. This is where we end this episode of the program. Don't forget you can access this and all previous episodes on YouTube, and you can also communicate with us on Twitter, and the handle is at NTA News Now. The hashtag is #BizX. We value your feedback. Do join us again on Tuesday morning for another package. I am Benny Adams saying stay safe.